Hi, Barely Sapient here. Today I'm going to review Freelancer. It's a space combat sim and you play as a pilot for hire. Those are two things I really like in a game. But there are just certain things about this game that makes it really hard for me to like. But you may be able to get past them. You might actually like something like this. We'll get into it. When I first got into PC gaming, there was a lot of space combat sims available to play, and I played a lot of them. Like the ones from LucasArts, X-Wing TIE Fighter, for example. The ones from Origin, which was the Wing Commander series, for example. And, of course, I played Descent Free Space and Free Space 2 as well. And one thing those games all had in common was that they were designed with the controls in mind of using a joystick and the keyboard. Freelancer is different in that it uses the mouse and the keyboard, and it's designed to be that way. In fact, by default, you can't use a joystick or gamepad. What Freelancer does have in common with all those games I previously listed is it is fast-paced combat. If you're looking for a game where you're a pilot in space and it's a sandbox universe, this game will scratch that itch. So in the game, you are Edison Trent, and you have just escaped the destruction of Freeport 7. You are a pilot that had amassed a fortune and has now lost it because of this destruction. So part of the main storyline is to figure out who destroyed this base and why. The other main goal of the game, of course, is to reamass your fortune and to upgrade your ship, and that's part of the fun. At the beginning of the game, you have very limited access to missions, you have a very limited ship, and you don't have the money to upgrade your ship that much to begin with. So part of the game you're going to be trying to take on side missions and stuff to build up that fortune, to upgrade your equipment, your ship and your weapons, that sort of thing. And that's part of the fun of the game. In this game you're going to constantly be looking for work, and it's important to talk to everybody you can at every bar that you go to. This is to find rumors and work. Early in the game, it will give you prompts to show you keyboard commands to help you out. So in the game, when you're looking for work, or sometimes in the bar, there will be spoken dialogue. And there will be spoken dialogue throughout the game, actually, when you're in flight as well, at times, just like other games in this genre. Pressing F1 will bring up the game menu. This is where you can actually save your game, or you can load a new game, change your options, or go back to the main menu and exit if you want. Now in the main options, you can control graphics. There's all sorts of graphics settings here, such as resolution, brightness, mouse sensitivity as well for controls. And then here, this is a good idea to look at this. This lists all the keyboard controls. And you can scroll down and see all the different shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts for the game. You also change things in your user interface as well. Now this actually, performance has more of the graphics options actually. And of course you have audio options.
Port 7 was destroyed.
Or audio. When you have found work, you can launch into space. And it'll give you a little cutscene as you leave whatever planet you're docked at. You will then get a mission briefing screen, which will show a map and will give you a basic description of the mission. Now, you You do have use of the WASD keyboard buttons, just like a first-person shooter. What's not like a first-person shooter is the W and S commands are increase speed and decrease speed respectively. A and D are, however, strafe left and strafe right respectively, just like a first-person shooter. Another handy thing is going into cruise speed, and you do that by pressing Shift W. You'll see the cruise engine is charging and your weapons are going offline at that point. Now this is a travel to a waypoint that's not a trade point and not a jump, in other words. And once you're in cruise speed, you do travel a bit faster. This is what you're going to have to do to go to custom locations within a system. Now combat with the mouse, you can't do that in cruise speed, so you have to get out of that. Once you press Shift W again to get out of it, you can then use your weapons. Now you can activate or deactivate your weapon hardpoints by pressing buttons 1 through 0. And that's basically it. Okay, so combat in this game is fast and furious. There's lots of enemies and they are definitely going to try to kill you. And you're going to have to think and react quickly. Now the controls for firing and pointing and aiming are quite responsive, as any game that uses the mouse for that is going to have that advantage. Now there are all sorts of different types of weapons at your disposal. Now in this case where I'm flying here, I only have pretty much guns, beam weapons here, but there's also missiles and mines available, and the enemies will use those as well against you. It is sometimes you will have a wingman, a lot of times you won't. Like other games in this genre, there's various different missions that you can take. You will have scouting missions, attack missions. Sometimes you have to have escort missions. Now you'll have cargo missions where you run cargo between systems. You can also just trade commodities if you want to do that as well. Sometimes you'll have defense missions. It's very much like any space combat sim, and then also within the subgenre, you know, the sandbox type. It's got all those types of missions. Just like other games in this genre, most of your time will be spent doing missions trying to increase your wealth, improve your ship, and your weapons. And of course this game has a little bit of a leveling up system as well, and that you increase your level to be able to buy better equipment basically. But and that's basically it. Now there are a few missions here and there that are advance the storyline, but you can get them to them basically when you want to. Obviously the most straightforward way to run and install this game would be to have an XP machine with an optical drive. But most people don't these days. And I find it funny that it gives a video card warning if you don't have a video card that recognizes. And it wouldn't unless it was older than the game. This particular game does not have an entry in the Proton database, but don't worry, it runs in Linux. To install it in Linux, you're going to want to mount the ISO file for the game. Once you have loaded and mounted the ISO file, you're going to want to open Heroic Games Launcher, go to your library, hit the Add Game button. You're going to type in the title of the game, in this case Freelancer. Yeah, you can choose any title you want, right? It doesn't matter. You're going to hit the Run Installer First button. In the ISO that you just mounted, find setup.exe and hit select, it will open up the install program. You can just do the express install, or you can customize it if you want. It doesn't matter. It's just going into a prefix folder for Heroic Games Launcher anyway. After the install program has finished, the game will be ready for you to put in the no CD patch, and then you can play it. After you've installed it, click on the game, and then you see where it says install path. Click on that. Open that directory. What you're going to want to do at this point is replace this exe, this Freelancer exe here, with the no CD patch, which is a modified freelancer.exe file. This will make sure you can run the game without having to use the CD-ROM, because the CD-ROM uses safe disk. Modern operating systems don't allow safe disk to run, which will not allow the game to run. So you have to patch it this way. That's how you get it to run. There is also an HD mod available for the game. In Heroic Games Launcher, if you want to install the HD patch, you do it when you install the game. When you first install the game and you find the executable to run it off the ISO file, which is a copy of the CD-ROM, right? The CD, you run that install process, and then this run installer button doesn't go away. So what you do is you run the HD mod file afterwards, and then you patch with the no CD patch, and you can run the game in HD. Or if you're running a dual boot system, you can run the HD mod to install that in Windows, copy over the finished product from Windows to your Linux prefixes directory for Heroic Games, and that'll work too. So Freelancer looks better and does not have text issues in Windows 11, while it does in Linux. For me, everything about this game is great except for one major thing, and that is the flight controls. Sure, shooting the weapons and aiming the guns works great. The problem is yawing and pitching with the mouse just does not work for me. It's slower than it would be on a joystick or a gamepad, which would be less ideal than a joystick. If this game had been made with a joystick or a gamepad in mind, it would be better for me, in my opinion. Now, if you're okay with the mouse control, this game is great. In-game, you can switch to a first-person view. The problem is when you fire, firing obscures your view. The flashing is just too much. So that is something that they discourage you from doing it in this game. Just by that, it's jarring. That's the other problem. That's the other major problem I have with this game. Like and subscribe if you like the video, and comments are always welcome.